almost as soon as Ross Dellinger broke the news that the Pac-12 is trying to get the band back together. The homie Fred called me. He said, yo, RJ, did you see this? I said, yes, I saw this. Is it true? And I said, it depends on what you think is true. And he's like, what I seen is the Pac-12 is reforming. And I said, not really. And he said, but it's saying right here, I'm looking at Yahoo Sports right now. It says the Pac-12 is back, baby. We back. And I said, nah, that ain't. What had happened was, RJ, you just told me that Washington State and Oregon State are members of the Pac-12. Yeah, I did. And then you just get done telling me, yo, dog, like, they got $65 million in the settlement. That was last March. Yeah, dog, I did. So what part of the Pac-12 not getting back together am I misunderstanding? It's like the Pac-12 is getting back together, I tried to tell him. And then as we're talking, I said, I just need to go ahead and do this on video. I need to do this in a segment because it dawns on me that I'm putting together pieces that not a whole lot of other people are putting together. And frankly, they're laid out really well in Dellinger's piece. But let me break it down. It's the Pac-12 getting back together, but it's like Destiny's Child getting back together without Beyonce. It's like the Pac-12 getting back together, but they getting back together like in sync without Justin Timberlake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it ain't exactly like you might think it is. Like, I'm sure that there's somebody out here that know Lance Bass or pour one out for Joey. But you ain't going to have too many Backstreet Boys coming back to life without Nick Carter. It's just not, that ain't what you're going to do over here. You know what I'm saying? It's more like one of these, I'm David Ruffin and these are the Temptation type situations that we got over here with the Pac-12. It's Patti LaBelle without the Pips. You know what I'm saying? It's the Pips without Patti LaBelle. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. You understand what I'm saying here? It's real hard to be Parliament without George Clinton. Okay? Sometimes you wanted to be queen. But it can't be queen without Freddie Mercury. You understand what I'm saying here? Do you feel me? It is not a Tribe Called Quest without Q-Tip. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. However, the brand is strong. You know what I'm saying? Shout out, man. Shout out to the greatest podcast of all podcasts, Bodega Boys. Pouring one out, dog. That's the GOAT. They the GOATs. Bring Bodega Boys. It will never be another Bodega Boys. It's like doing Bodega Boys without Jesus or Merrill. How you gonna do that? You can't. It's impossible. However, like all things branding, Oregon State and Washington State think that they can do something with, and I quote here, Boise State, San Diego State, Fresno State, Colorado State, and then two more additions. Because the way that this thing works here is for the Pac-12 to get back on the good foot would be a Power 5 conference, which they are not right now. A lot of things got to go their way, okay? One of which feels like a formality, right? The Pac-12 board must approve any membership applications that are expected and, probably will be as soon as these schools apply. Because Oregon State and Washington State control the Pac-12 conference, name, image, likeness, if you will, they got a 2-year grace period to try to fill out the rest of what they would need to form a league. Okay? So they need these schools that I mentioned plus 2 more before July 2026 to jump on board to reform the Pac-12. Now, on top of all of that, each one of those schools who are now in the Mountain West would owe the Mountain West $17 million each. Plus the Pac-12 would need to pay $10, $12 million for the scheduling fee, right? So my fuzzy math is already going, damn, you got $100 million that you going to be able to pay out to the Mountain West? If you got it, it ain't tricking if you got it, but your $65 million is already burnt. It's already gone, to which they're going, well, we were probably going to use it for these purposes anyway. And I don't blame them because what you are seeing is, frankly, what I see in my industry all the time. Somebody builds a property into being pretty outstanding and pretty awesome. And then somebody else shows up to go, hey, it's a really great brand you have built there. What if you sold it to me? And what happens is that person sells that brand to those people who are paying an arm and a leg for it, and then they leave, and as does the soul of the thing, leave with them. And I could count, there's so many graveyards of great ventures started by people like myself who are the creative forces behind the thing that they make, and then they sell the name, image, and likeness to something else for $1 billion or whatever it might be, and they go off and they do something else, and they rebuild that next thing. That's usually how American business works. You blow this thing up. Another great example of this would be SB Nation, right? Think of all the great writers and websites that came out of SB Nation and how that's just a graveyard, or so it feels right now. You know what I'm saying? You can look around. Deadspin, great example of this. Private equity comes in and kind of ruins these things. In this way, maybe Washington State and Oregon State think they can beat the allegations that this would be the zombie Pac-12. However, what you are also banking on is the history that is behind the Pac-12 Conference champions. 11 of them national championships belong to USC by itself. And as far as I can note here, when we talk about football, because we always going to be talking about football, Oregon State and Washington State ain't really been nobody in the last 15, 20 years. And when we talk about playing for national championships, now we're not talking about Oregon State or Washington State. That's just not what we're going to do. But in the next 2 years, the Pac-12 champion is not eligible for an automatic bid to qualifying spot in the college football playoff. However, starting in 2026, the champion of a rebuilt Pac-12 would be presumably eligible for one of those automatic bids as a Power 5 school. And that is the reason why you want to do all of this. It would be a major bet on the Pac-12 significance if you could find enough people to join this league to make it a sustainable one that has a conference championship game, and one for which, you'd be eligible to get in. Now, the thing about conference realignment, and as any great college football fan will tell you, isn't that the conferences themselves are good or bad or otherwise. Like the ACC, the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12 are Power 4 conferences for a couple of reasons. A, we gave them that designator. B, we gave them that designator because they command the most money from television, from merchandise, from you, from me, okay? The reason that you want Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten is precisely because they have a large audience, and they are great football teams, and they are brands you can sell on television, okay? It is the reason why Cal and Stanford joined the ACC and didn't wait around in the Pac-12 for whatever it is that Oregon State and Washington State were going to try to cook up. They need to go get while the getting was good because they got a money agreement over there that they was willing to cut them in, give them some time. Southern Methodist is another example of this. They joined the ACC foregoing any money that they might be able to make from a realignment this year so they can make it on the back end. Would SMU be interested in joining a new form, Pac-12, if they will go get money on the front end of this and perhaps push them toward an automatic bid in the college football playoff? And this is really the thing that we're talking about. And I really want you to pay attention on this. The reason that the Pac-12 is being reformed and is present, or want to be reformed, is so they can get into the college football playoff. Why? Because there's $8 billion over there that has been paid to ESPN just to broadcast the damn thing. The money that you can make for your university by even playing in that thing is ridiculous. Think about it this way. This year, 5 through 8 get to host a playoff game. Never happened in our sport before. Never once. It is such a big deal to me that I would say, if I'm in one of those top 4 spots, I would want the opportunity to either forego playing in the Rose Bowl or whatever bowl game they want to put me into, right? Whatever New Year's Six Bowl you want to put me into, for the opportunity to host the playoff game against the 12 team. You give me, I would play the extra game, and I would play the 12 seed at home rather than playing the bowl game, because that's how much more it's going to mean to us, to our fans, and to our bottom line. I'm telling you, because we are such ridiculous zealots about our sport and attending football games, do you know what the price might be for Oklahoma to host a playoff game at Memorial Stadium against, let's say, Penn State, against, let's say, Ole Miss, let's say, LSU, hell, let's say USC? My God, Oklahoma, USC in a playoff game. Lincoln Riley versus Oklahoma at Oklahoma. The price to get in the door would be in the 5-digit range, man. We want that so bad. That is the gamble. That is the bet that they are making to try to reform the Pac-12. And I got to tell you, that's confidence. That is rolling the dice on it, baby, because you ain't got, what else you got to lose on this one? I mean, you talk about Colorado State, San Diego State, Boise State. Joining Oregon State, Washington State, just call it Pac State, not Pac-12, Pac State, to try to salvage what's left of the Pac-12. I, for one, would like to see it. Let me know if you would like to see it in the comments below.